And those are stories, when you sit down and you hear the old time players talking about football, those are stories they would interject with inside of the game that just added, to the aura and the mystery and the greatness of long-time footballers.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Field of Dreams on ACTN. My name is Steve David and I'm your host. Today we want to pay tribute to our fallen brother, Larry Joseph. And I have so many people who want to come on this show. So I brought a couple of groups of guys who is going to spend the hour with us. And we talk about the good and bad times with Larry and whatever other times that we had. And first, I'm going to introduce the Presentation College contingent. And next to me is Dunstan Williams. Welcome to Sir Dunstan.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Next to Dunstan is Sean Cooper. Welcome to Sir Sean.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
And Larry Goodbody, ever popular Anthony Clark. Welcome to Sir Anthony.
Thank you, Steve. It's always a pleasure.
All right. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you. And hopefully we can get more light on Larry as a person. We all met him on different situations and different occasions. I have met him here on the show came on as a guest, and then we developed a relationship. And after hearing him as an analyst, I had to have him as a regular because he was so good at what he did. So I know you guys went to school together and so on and so on. So barbershop discussion, guys. Tell me about Larry. Well, how did you guys meet?
Well, for me, actually I met Larry on the football field. Sean and I were captains. I was the captain of Naparima College. Sean was the captain of Presentation College. And Larry was this dynamic midfielder that gave us bags of trouble. And we struck up a relationship off the field after that. I mean, when he played for Petrotrin, I played for San Fernando Giants against him. But his relationship with me grew because we became friends. And I learned about Larry Joseph, the man. Always positive, always encouraging, always looking to diffuse any kind of antagonistic behavior. And when Sean asked me to come and join the Presentation College coaching staff, one of my first calls was Larry. And he just encouraged me to go and do the right thing, help the kids, and the rest is history.
Right. Sean?
Well, the first meeting with Larry wasn't a pleasant one because presentation, when we went in, we were about bringing back presentation from senior grade into colleges league. So we tried forming a bomb squad, as we would call it. And one day we went to PFC to play against them. And the coach wasn't there. Mr. Carlos Osborne wasn't there. And we went down to PFC because, small school. And we met a short, red guy by the name of Scamp. And he ran rings around us. And when we went back up to school, we told the principal and the coach, Mr. Osborne, we saw something happened. Mr. Osborne wasn't there that day. And we told him, you see that red guy? We need him on the school team because he's a wizard, along with his friend, close friend to Winston Bigford. So both of them, joined the squad. And from that day was problems. I think, as Clark, you will know, I think that was one of Prez best footballing teams that I have seen that never really won the big titles. We won a knockout joint winners with St. Augustine, probably back in '82. But Larry was positive. I'll give you a story. We were in qualification mode, and we had to play Signal Hill with the likes of Wendell Moore, Frankie Mohammed. I think Ricky Nelson was on that squad also. And they defeated us 5-0 at Plymouth. The return game was at Union Hall. And Larry was cool. We said, how we defeating this team? And Larry said, just give me the ball. And that day, the coach took Larry from center midfield and put him at the number 9. And in the first 5-10 minutes, we were 2-0 up. And Signal Hill said, ladies first. And Larry scored the third. And he said, like it's only ladies playing the game. We eventually won the game 5-0 and tied it off. So I had some good times with Larry.
Good. Anthony Clark.
I remember the introduction to Larry slightly different. I remember Carl Osborne wanted to, we were in senior grade. Presentation football was just going down and down and down. And the coach, obviously, that aspect. But I remember it as him bringing a church side. And the likes of Ian David, and they say, a church side, coach man, he said, don't worry, let me play the church side. And you had Ian David, you had Brent Augustus. I don't know if you were there for that game, right?
Yeah.
And Larry ran rings around the team. And after the coach came and he said, well, right, what do you think about that fella? Right, think they say, what we think? And people don't understand the impact Larry had on Presentation College, because it was due to the fact that he was the influential force on that team that Presentation College began to come up from senior grade and continue into the realm of where we are today. I don't know where we would have been if it was not for Larry Joseph. So the influence that Larry Joseph had on the team and on the whole college, as a matter of fact, we started to feel proud of the college again, and we were in intercals again, and so on. So he had a great influence that many may not remember. And not just an influence on the field, but an influence in terms of the moral of Presentation College, bringing us back to the glory days of who we knew we were. And that came through Larry Joseph. And I remember hearing a story with, and to show you the man, I remember hearing a story from Texas Cyrus when he just broke into the national team, and he saw the likes of Brian, Ray Williams, Clayton Morris, and and these guys, and he was in awe. And he was telling me that Larry passed and said, "Don't worry, they're human just like us." Because you look up to these guys like how I would have looked up to you, Steve, back in the day. There's Steve David, and Larry would pass and say, "Don't worry, they're human just like us.
Yep.
You just do your thing."
All right.
So that was the person he was. I mean, right, there are many more stories, but right, we will go.
Maybe, Sean, you talked about him as a leader of the team, and you guys, before you guys were doing great. Maybe it's because you guys had to run into St. Benedict's that why you wasn't as good?
No, we dealt with St. Benedict's very easily.
You did?
Back in those days.
All right.
It wasn't your day. But once Larry was on the field, we thought we could have defeated anyone. Anyone. Larry was someone who instilled confidence in each player on the football field. I could remember going into the national team. I was probably number 40. And I could remember going up to the games, training sessions, and Larry on the bus, and I saying, "Way, Larry boy, there's only 24 people that picking to go to Costa Rica," and Larry will say, "Sean, don't worry, you'll make the team. You know, you'll make the team." Even recently, Larry came to the squad in 2019 when we won the national intercall. He said, "How the squad going?" I said, "We need some kind of inspiration." And Larry appeared in the training session, and he walked with fruits, Gatorade, a lot of stuff, he and Russell Monroe. And I said, "Larry, you can't leave here without talking to these boys." So, you know, Larry spoke to them, and after that, it was history. Steve would have known that when Steve came to a game and he said, "Sean, you have real work to do with these men." But then after some of the guys like Dev and Larry and they started speaking with them, you know, they got that sense of positivity. And it's history now. We won the national intercall. And I thank Larry. Up to around January, he called me, you know, and we still spoke about those things, you know, so big loss.
Give me some unforgettable moments on the football field that you guys experienced with Larry, maybe against you or with.
Well, I would go back to possibly after our playing days competitively. We were part of a church league that actually George Matheson he organized the league. And we met in Skinner Park in a knockout final, Marble Open Bible against Labre Pentecostal. And Larry and they were leading 3-1. And we came back to tie the game 3-all. And there was a bit of controversy in one of the goals that we scored. And of course, the Labre boys were angry, and I wasn't playing, but I was coaching the Marble team. And I told the guys, "Let's settle down, you know, these things will be done." Larry walked up to myself, Brian Bumpy Peters, and I think George, and he said, "Hey, what's happening? Let's go straight to penalties. There is no issue here, all right? This is not about who wins or who loses, but it's about the fellowship and the mentorship." And that was it. I mean, those things stay with me, you know, and even, well, I'll just stray a little bit from on the field, because what Sean talked about was Larry coming into school with all these goodies. But I went behind Sean's back as his assistant coach. Press didn't have the economics, and we were having the boys a little longer, because sessions are normally 2 hours, but we were going for like 3.5. So I called Larry and I said, "Larry, look, we just want to give the guys some refreshments when they leave." And I was surprised. I called him and I called his riding partner, Russell, we called Jack, and that's how Larry came with all the goodies. And he was very positive. He said, "Dunstan, anything you all need, just let me know, we'll do those little things, you know." So Larry the man, the gentle giant, that's what I call it.
I don't know how many people knew this, but right, Larry, his first love was not football, it was actually cricket, but he was no good at it. Right? But he loved cricket.
Right.
And I think I heard a story where his father wanted him to play cricket as well, and his father has actually never saw him play a game of football, not in college or with Trintock or with the national team. He never came to see him because he always wanted him to be a cricketer. For me, the second best player that I would have played with locally after Russell Atapi in terms of skill and so on would have been Larry Joseph. And I think the era of him being prominent on the national team, right, wasn't there because Russell was there.
Yes.
Right? But I think that is where I will rank Larry Joseph in terms of players that I played with. But I think Larry was more influential off the football field than he was on the football field. Even though he was that general and that player that we used to see and have a sense of awe about. Right, Larry Joseph, the man, was even more phenomenal than Larry Joseph, the player. And it'll take a very long time to explain that, but he was a real kicksman. Plenty of people only saw Larry as, you know, this church boy, but Larry used to talk a lot of rubbish, all right, and make people laugh and so on. He was a man of faith. He was a man of his community. He was a man very loyal to his team, his family, and his church, and his God. And that was the type of individual that came to the field. So it was not that the field, right, football created the man. I think the man just brought who he was to the game of football, and it all emerged.
Yeah, you're right, because I hear Larry, I heard him, I sit right here and hear him talk about other players, how great, and how there's no jealousy in him. He give you what you earn, what you got, and which is good. I like that, because I think I grew up in Point with all of these great players, but everybody was like a fan of each other.
Right.
You know, we so talk about each other like they were bigger than life. And Larry does the same thing. He talks about Bobby Sukram. He talks about Latapi with passion. When we sit here, he talks like that. And I respect him so much for that. And you know, that he gives back what somebody earns. He doesn't try to hog that himself. And he has good temperament. I've seen Larry sat and people get him mad. Sometimes Clarky gets him mad. Normal as ever. And if you get him mad, you don't even know it, but he's normal. He doesn't show that heavy.
I mean, he had a lot of experience with me getting him mad, Steve. That went back years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I was
Disobedient.
not disobedient. I was a rebel in that, being a goalkeeper, and you know, right, seeing the other players, right, miss chances and so on and so forth. I was, right, that goalkeeper, right, I will say, listen, if you all don't score, I'm not diving on this hard ground, you know. So all the better get all the act in order. And right, there was a time Trintak was playing Goodwood Racing Dodgers. I don't even know if you all know about that team.
Remember that day?
Philbert Jones and Adrian Fonrose running down and kicking the ball all over the place. We had about 10 goals to score. And I told him, listen, that nonsense that's going on there, if I make one mistake, all on my back. So all you have to put, a guy came down, hit a shot, it bumping coming in, and I let it score. And we won that game 8-1 because they realized that I was serious. And Larry always used to come down and say, Clarky, oh gosh, let's just play the football now. I said, no, we have to go act in order. So I was very, I had a lot of pride in the game as well, and I wanted people to do their best as well as I would have done my best. But, you know, it had times that I was very cantankerous and mischievous, for want of a better word. And Larry would always be the one to come and say, Clarky, oh gosh, let's just give them boys opportunity again. Give them opportunity. And so, right, we had many years of that. I mean, we played football in Prez, we played football in Trintok together, we played football on the national team together. So we have had a very long relationship in terms of playing, as well as off the field.
But Clarky, I think I'll disagree with one thing you said. One thing he said.
What is that?
Larry was a very good cricketer, because I also used to play cricket. Larry came out with the likes of Augustin Logie and Davy Set. He was a very good cricketer down at Labre. They had a fast bowler by the name of Cutter.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, so I played school cricket with Larry also for Prez, and Larry could have held his own.
The bat and the bowling. What?
Bat and bowling. He was always a wise sportsman.
Yeah.
Right.
Good decision making. I think that was Larry. You couldn't fluster him. And if we wanted anything, he could have been a good hostage negotiator. Back in the day, he might have been the only one to get Brother Michael to release Clarky Ban from press. Only one. Because if we wanted anything from Brother Michael, all we had to say, Scamp, check Mikey. And Brother Michael will give Larry Joseph anything he asks for. Because the individual he was. He will speak to you and he will get you to do things that you normally wouldn't do. Because he instilled so much confidence in you. You could move mountains after he finished speak with you.
Right.
You know, and so Clarky.
Yeah, when I said that he wasn't a very good cricketer, I was comparing to him being a footballer, right? So, right, I don't know why he chose football over cricket, but he excelled in cricket. I don't know if he would have reached so far in cricket, right, versus, I mean, he excelled in football. I don't know if he would have excelled as far as cricket. I don't know. I don't know if it was because of school that he came to Prez to play football, that he eventually went along that line. I don't know what it was.
Let me say something. Remember, back in those days, sports was seasonal.
Right.
So you play cricket and football. Many people don't know Brian Williams could have played cricket better than football. But because of Mr. Vidal taking him under his wings, he went the football direction. But so we had sportsmen back in the day who was just as good, but just probably the opportunity. But Larry has done so much for his community also.
That's right.
He's a legend.
Yeah, let's talk about him as a community man, because he did. In Labre, he did. So go ahead.
Yeah, you know, Larry, he was infectious. So whatever he did, he always wanted to put back. So he will go onto the field.
He will cut the field.
Yeah, and do stuff around the community, you know, in church. Let me tell you something. The only two genuine Christians I know is Larry Joseph and Dunstan Williams. Because from age 15 to now, I knew Larry as a Christian. I've never heard Larry in an argument. I've never heard him use obscene language. I've never seen any situation he hasn't quelled because of his personality.
Right.
So he was like a big brother to us.
Right.
So just like Clarky, if I want an honest opinion on something, I will call Steve. Not Clarky. Steve, Tony. Yeah. We have a next clerk to Steve Clark. I will call Tony, and Tony will give it straight up. Larry will take the negatives and make it positive. So he wouldn't dwell so much on what he sees negative. He will look at, you know, ways that you could be successful. Right. And Dunstan, the perennial Christian.
I didn't know that. Glad to know you're a Christian. Come tell us about Larry, what you know about Larry.
Well,
as a Christian.
When I heard of Larry's passing, I got a call from Cian Samuel, one of the players that Sean and I coach, who lives in Labre. And Cian said, oh, Labre is a dark place now. And I know Larry for his strong Christian belief. And through Christianity, you really look at family. And I think Larry couldn't help it. You know, Larry would do, when most of us want to be praised for coaching or doing this, Larry would go and put up corner flags around the field. He would cut the field, as Tony said. He would organize games, leagues for the kids to play and stuff. And that would be Larry. Just making sure everybody happy. And of course, trying to quell any disagreements and not making it. I've never seen, I played against Larry. We tried to kick Larry, and I've never seen him angry. Hey, don't do that again. And he gone, you know. And that's Larry, you know. The Christian in him was outstanding. You know, that's how he impacted people's lives.
Anybody could control Clarky, Larry could.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Ignore Clarky, you can't. But
If Steve, if you have any kind of issue, you know, or decision, if you want a response from Tony, you know you're going to get hard love.
right.
But Larry will listen and decipher and give you something positive to leave that discussion with. That was the person. You know, I listened to him on your program, and you know that I could tell you what Larry going to say because I know the way he thinks and the person he is.
Right.
Steve, before Dunson go on, let me give you a classic presentation. We're going through a kind of rough period in terms of it was tight. The league was tight between Shiva Boys, Naps, and Prez. And someone gave Larry a call and told Larry, go and talk to Sean and see if you could get the team to be more offensive, to score more goals. And Larry called me. A matter of fact, he came to the training session and he sat with me and he said, Sean, listen. He said, you know, press men are emotional and they always want the best. He said they called me and told me they think I should help you with the offensive part of the team. He said, but then I sat down and I look at the stats. And you all have the most goals in the league. And the least against is just that you all drawing too many games. He said, so, and I am not a coach. You are the coach. You are the qualified coach. So I told them, I am not going to tell Sean what to do on the football field. Right. And Clarky is the said thing. Although Clarky versed in the game, Clarky will just come and say, brother, you have some work to do, you do your job. Clarky wouldn't come and say, well, you need to do this and you need to do that. No. And they will be in the background. Right. So Larry will come to a game, watch the performance. He would not come down in the dressing room. I wouldn't even know he's there. And about a week after, he'll call and say, hey, Sean, you know, the team playing well, just encourage the boys, and success will come. And that was the guy.
Clarky, I sit here and watch you and Larry verbally get at it without getting at it. And I thought it was amazing. I used to like it. And when we going down, when we write together, Clarky, Larry and I, we never talk about it, but he's back to normal. What do you think? How you feel?
Yeah, no, Larry, right, that one thing, right, Larry knows me.
Yeah.
He knows that I am also the devil's advocate. So, especially being on this program, I would try to engage people in the program as well and get emotions out of them because I understand what we want from the program as well. Right. And it was hard to get anything out of Larry. So,
well, I'm going to have to move you guys to the other side and bring in a fresh group. Any parting comments from any of you before I switch?
Well, I just want to say, on behalf of Brian Bumpy Peters, he asked me to say condolences to Cheryl and the children. And, you know, you're always in our thoughts. On behalf of my family, and the press community and the footballing community. And we have lost a true legend.
I would like to represent the guys from North America. Lindley Prince, Steve Clark, Ian David, you know, a lot of them. Lindley Prince, Frankie Arundel, those guys were very, very close to Larry. Bull, Stephen Christopher. So I would like to extend my condolences to the family on behalf of those guys and my family also.
Sure, what's that? Clarky, you did all you had to do already?
No, we basically had the international community had the international press community had a Zoom meeting last night for about 3 hours, and all of the guys who are overseas spoke to his family, gave them the assurance that the press community is here for them even though Larry has left. Anything that they need, reach out to the press community, and we will make sure it is done. So I did wish Cheryl and the family, right, condolences from me and my family. I wish I to do it again and reconfirm the commitment of me and my family, and by extension the press community, to the Joseph family.
I think I've got to take a break now, but thank you guys for being here. I've got to come with the group. Appreciate it. We'll be right back after this break.
One of the greatest things I ever saw, you know, is on a game. We were actually on a game in a Rima velodrome, in wet ground. And you know, during the game, you know, we saw a player from the next team, which will remain unnamed right now, right? Go on by the corner flag. And we didn't know what was going on because the game was going on. And there's only half time in the dressing room. Man was cracking up. They say, boy, you see what that man do there, boy? You must see what that man do. Say, boy, that man going by the corner flag and leg was load, boy.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. We have changed our contingent now, and I've got 3 other people that has some kind of relationship with Larry that we would learn about and hear a little bit more about Larry Joseph the Great. Brian Williams, welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Steve.
Dexter Cyrus, welcome.
Thanks, Steve.
And Rudolph Neptune, welcome.
Thank you, Steve.
Rudolph, you and Larry has a connection back in somewhere in La Brea.
From La Brea.
Tell us a little bit about your connection.
Well, Larry has been such an icon for me in the sense that Larry played with Trintock. I play with Lab Rangers. Larry is always a man, love the game, football. Love it. Larry played football at a higher level than I. Larry played for Trintock, he represent Strike Squad national team. And Larry had done so much for La Brea as a person. Larry run minor league in La Brea. He was involved with his sports foundation, nurturing the youths. From the minute you could have walk, you could have come and do football training with Larry. He had all the equipment you could think about to bring a youth. Once you say you love this game, football, Larry had the necessary equipment so to coach you. And it was a good feeling. You know, sometimes you pass and you see Larry Joseph on the football field on a Saturday morning. I didn't even used to get the energy. Because Larry will go to work, petrol train, and come back in the evening and run the minor league. Yeah, I tell you, run the minor league. And sometimes he wouldn't have no officials. And he will call the friend Randy. He say, Randy, I don't know officials today, boy. What you going to do? You come down? And I had to come down. My mother used to say, your boy call you, boy. You lie down already, boy. You go in and assist him because I'm a real bonafide. He could have depend on me.
Right.
And I could have depend on Larry, talk anything with Larry. But Larry love for the game.
Right.
was
There's
outstanding.
the love for the game.
He loved for the game.
That makes that all of that
Yeah,
happen.
all of that possible.
All right, we'll talk a little bit more with you and Larry, but let me get Dexter and Brian to get involved here in this discussion.
Well, Larry J, well, I playing against Larry J was my first encounter with him, right? Playing for Trintopec. Always had a big clash when it comes to playing Trintok. He used to play for Trintok.
Mm-hmm.
So playing against him, looking at the player, and you're in awe. And then the companies merged. So there was no Trintopec and no Trintok anymore. That's when we became Petrotrin.
Mm-hmm.
The football team then was called United Petrotrin. My first encounter walking into the dressing room and seeing, well, with Trintopec, I already would have met Brian and Dexter Francis. Walking into the dressing room after the team would have merged, now I'm seeing Brian, Dexter Francis, Clayton Morris, Philbert Jones, Larry Joseph, Daryl John, Sherwin Julian, Anthony Roger, Anthony Sherwood. You're starstruck because I'm 21 years. I'm 20 or 21. And I'm looking at them, like not realizing that I'm starstruck. Larry would have just put his hand on my shoulder like that and say, "Youth man, them fellas is human beings just like me and you. Come here to play football, don't worry yourself now, man." Yeah. And just take away all that tension. Just relax me, and then he after that everything was history. Peter Prosper was with Trintok too, and he came across, and I think we in 7 years I think we got team of the year 4 or 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got team of the year 4 or 5 times out of during that 7-year period. So the individual, what this is a man who you cannot say anything bad about. Based on me knowing him, based on what I know, I don't know, I can't speak from before. Based on what I know, you can't say anything bad about him. You're not like a situation where you could talk nice in somebody face and then go and bad talk them behind the back. Not Larry J. I've never heard or witnessed anything like that. Mm-hmm. Larry J was, knowing the individual, you know that man was blessed. You know he was blessed. Now we have to say that we are blessed now that he's gone, because we have gotten to know and be close friends and play with an individual like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
Yes, Stevie, it's really difficult to put words together to describe our brother, our beloved brother, Larry J, as we so call him. Mm-hmm. What a true exemplar for all of us, and even some young people of Trinidad and Tobago. Some saying gone too soon, but I say, knowing Larry, as Cyrus just said, you see a brother with, like, faultless. His family life, the true exemplar of a man and the way he should live in terms of his spirituality and how he dealt with people was amazing. And when I sit and heard about Larry's death, I was very, very close to him. I've known Larry over close to 40 years, and we had many moments. But when I look at what taking place even presently in the world today, as we would say, Jah say he's going to prepare a place where he is, and I shall be there also. And what taking place in the world today, like you see like the Almighty gathering his soldiers, gathering his soldiers. That's why I want to describe it. So the loss of Larry, or Larry not being present with us today, is a celebration of his life. It's a celebration of his life. Because outside of the football, Larry carries so much positive attributes that it seems faultless. As I said before, most of us could take example of the life the brother lived. I never see him in no kind of weird old situation or thing or whatever. A principled man, a man with a lot of integrity that he stands for the right thing and all that. Anytime you see who's trained, could be who? Manager, coach, players, or whatever. Larry could have addressed it. Hey, so is the situation. And Larry hold us together a lot. During the close to the 40 years that I've known Larry, as Cyrus said, the key battles was Trintopek and Trintok. We used to in the early 80s, mid 80s. And it come as I said earlier, it was like one team playing against each other because the relationship with the Trintopek players and the Trintok players was so close. Even self had national youth teams and national, we had that relationship, and then we become United Petrotrin. But during that time, Larry was really the true leader. It was a notable omission of Larry not being a prominent player with the strike squad. For whatever reason, it's difficult for me to say. But is a strike, Larry should have been, when you look at it, a key man on the strike squad. He didn't make the final cut. Well, it's difficult. As I said, it's difficult for us to think, but Larry always carry that level of togetherness, brotherhood, and it never worry him. It never worry him. In the strike squad, latter part, Larry was the key figure in holding the strike squad together because we formed a little committee, about 5 of us, that will deal with the affairs of the strike squad. Larry was, what we say, the secretary, or the man who linking up. He formed the strike squad chat. He formed the strike squad chat. And we used to always bounce everything, people birthdays, whatever, all our arrangement to travel and all those things. Larry was the key person linking up all of that. When we go into Orlando, going to New York, the traveling arrangements, everything, all our documents and all them things, Larry used to deal with that. And we were so close. We were so close. That is why in his passing is a true celebration for me. It's a true celebration for me because Larry means so much for all of us. This is why I say there's nothing I see in, when we speak about Larry, and most people, like you can't say nothing wrong or different about Larry. He's such a sweetheart, as they would say. And then when I look at his family life, he have 3 wonderful children. His wife is really a nice girl. All of us used to be together. So we have to just continue with that life celebration and use Larry as a true example for all of us in this time.
Exactly what life should be like, right? Larry left this physical realm here, but you know, he left his spirit with each and every one of us, and we will feel him as we go forward. And I heard a pastor said one time, when the Maker calls for his people, it's just like you going to pick a fruit or a flower, you pick the best, right? You don't pick the bad ones, you pick the best. So you draw. Larry is one of those kind of people.
And this was saying, Steve, that I say, Jassy repair a place where he is at. and I shall be there also. And I've seen what taking place in the world today, racism, corruption. All when we look at the news and what taking place in the world, the pandemic, you could see like the Almighty calling His soldiers to either rectify to, and you've seen what taking place to put things in place today that He have to have His true soldiers with Him.
Right.
And Larry is one of them.
Right.
Larry is one of them. Right?
So, how are you gonna make out without the big brother Larry? Man?
Larry Joseph gone. My football team used to run between Larry and myself, the Masters.
Right.
And I say, Larry, we now want this to stop, the end. Because Larry Joseph loved this game of football too much.
Too much.
Larry used to tell me, Randy, you know, two of us is the controllers of this Masters team. But you know, when Larry can't make it one game, he used to tell me, Randy, go and play the game.
Right.
There's only one person.
Right.
He said, if two of us cannot make the game, then we'll cancel the game. Because you always want to have a senior person there among the fellas to control the game. You understand? But Larry Joseph, I will continue this, my fat match team.
Right.
Just because of Larry. Because Larry will know what is to stop.
Good.
I must call on this, a partner was Wayne Lewis. Wayne Lewis have over 50 teams, Petrochin All-Stars. And he used to call Larry to play, every year we might play 2 games,
Right.
over 50. Wayne saw me Friday night when his strikes came down by Larry. And he said, well, Randy, we beat all you once. He said, only beat we about 10 times. He said, no, again, more encouragement to play all you now. Because when Larry was there, we couldn't have beat all you.
Right.
He said, I celebrated that he got it, though. But I know we have a chance. And majority of the teams, the fat match team that we play against, you never have a person that ain't know Larry Joseph. Everybody know Larry Joseph. Everybody know Larry Joseph. And for some reason, when they come to play, they used to say, like, we can't beat Larry. You know. What's Larry? Larry was like 10 man in one when Larry running on that football field, you know. My players used to get inspired when Larry did. The feel to play, get encouragement to play. Because Larry used to make a game so nice. Larry used to talk to you and make you feel to play the game, get encouragement. Larry was a special one. You know, you use certain remarks when people passed. You say they was good, was a good person. This is not in this case. Larry, you could walk through library and ask anybody about Larry Joseph. Larry Joseph was the man.
We know that.
Little fellas, coachman, anybody see Larry? Coachman, coachman, coachman. Larry was that fire person.
All right, Dexter, what do you think? What are you thinking about now?
I am thinking that the individual that I know or name, who is Larry Joseph, I am thinking that the life, that road that he chose to walk, this individual has to be one of the strongest personalities also off the field. Because now, based on Brian just said, when you look at what's happening in the world, and this man walking this road where devout Christian, devout practicing Christian, with 100% of our family life and community life and church life. Never once hear anything bad about him when it comes to scandal or nothing of the sort in how the world is now. It's not to say is a personality or a person who people wouldn't like. Everybody love him. And he chose to walk that road. That's not no easy road, you know. That's a tough life, you know. That is the strength of the individual, and he made it look easy. He made it look, because that is just how he is. That's just him. That's just how he is. Larry, I scored many a goals based on Larry's influence as a midfielder, just giving me balls, giving me passes, and that kind of thing, right? But he was such a motivator. Such a motivator. When it comes to on the field. Now when you hear about his life off the field, it's even greater than on the field. It's even greater than on the field.
You ever score in Jefferson, George?
About 65 times.
Yeah? Jeff, let me hear what you think about Larry. But
Larry, I think that there's very little that can be added to the gentleman that was Larry Joseph. I think a lot has been said of people who played with him, you know, and that I had the opportunity to play against him towards the latter part of his career again, and always exemplary in his football, and for me more so off the field. He was an individual who was extremely influential. He exemplified humility, right? It's sort of nostalgic sitting in the chair here, you know, knowing that he'd be next to us. And Clarky mentioned something he would always bring that likeness to the set to, you know, in between breaks. He'd be always, you know, giving some little joke, you know, to lighten the mood, that type of thing. And it was a real pleasure, you know, a real pleasure and a blessing knowing him, right? He impacted everybody anywhere that he went. And I think he leaves behind a rich legacy, right? To those who, I mean, you know, sporting personalities, they a lot of times you find them very much deep into themselves. Larry was into others, you know, and he had really a heart to see how much he could have poured into others. And that for me is what I remember him for most.
Brian, I gave you a chance to.
Yeah, to add to all of it, all of this, I think I really want to say, I really feel it was a really great opportunity for me recently to spend the last time with Larry on the football field. And I want to compliment Field of Dreams too at this point in time, because the last time that we spent time on the football field was with Field of Dreams trying to do some virtual football drills at Clifton Hill Ground. And while we was there with Jefferson George, Larry Joseph, Russell Monroe, and myself, we kicking around the ball, and Larry saying, "Boy, we feeling good this morning, we could take a little sweat, hot sun," because we did that program. So the last time that Larry really spent on the football field was really true. Field of Dreams little program, and that was really nice that time too, you know. And Stevie, I don't know what could be said again about Larry, but I really must say it was a great opportunity to have a friend of such nature, to see a brother who we could all look up to, and as I continue to say, a great exemplar for all of us in family life and the way we should operate amongst people. And he was so amazing, the energy that Larry used to bring, in wherever he is, and the way he play. Serious game, what we call fet match or whatever and them things, he was just totally amazing. So God bless his soul and life live on as I continue to see, we celebrated a real icon,
Apart from on the field and off the field, in dressing room and all those sort of things, Larry Joseph was the sense of humor that the individual carried.
Exactly.
You know, that is what made me really mesh with him in the early days, because I like my little talk to and my little chip talk. Larry,
he could
love that.
He could break the ice. He could break the ice in a tense moment and make you laugh and make you laugh also too. And all and nothing never out of sort. Everything used to be clean and nice.
Inside.
Clean and nice.
No language, he never cussing, no out of time.
He never grade nobody and stuff like that. Oh, Steve is amazing. He's amazing.
Real nice.
Amazing brother. You know, this kind of way.
Humor was infectious. It used to draw you in. Used to draw you into.
Yeah.
Jeff, the little time you spend with Larry on set, because you don't know him offset as
Yeah.
much, right?
Exactly.
Oh, you
And
think-
and that's why I'm saying the individual, he was he's intelligent, you know, very intelligent, insightful, right? And he add so much you know, just as he was on the football field, finesse to the whole thing. You know, he was that kind of guy. You know?
Because
real
TV,
pleasure.
and what was nice about Larry, even if Larry had the interest of a lot of kids and Duku, he was never too much interested in coaching. You know. But you see, his administrative skills was second to none. Was second to none because, look, Larry wasn't, let me say, make the final cut of the strike squad, but he had all the strike squad players' date of birth, all information on the players that we could say, hey, we want to find out, we want a number for this, we call Larry now, and Larry will give you the number and stuff like that. So his administrative skills, because you always manager when we had a team called Swift, Southwest Institute of Football, just before United Petrotrin, he managed that team. When I coached United Petrotrin, he was the manager, and the relationship was great. Great.
All right, we have a couple of minutes, but any closing remarks before we close?
I had the opportunity to coach Larry's son, Shimon Joseph. And well, I didn't know I can't say that I saw his wife and saw the daughter. The interaction with the son, you know, they say that the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah, chip don't fall far from the block, I think.
Well-mannered, well-rounded individual, just like the father, just like the dad. Well-rounded, well-mannered individual, just like his father. It was a pleasure coaching the son, but it's even a greater pleasure to have known the dad, because well-rounded, the epitome of a well-rounded man, the epitome of a well-rounded man. Condolences to the family.
I want to quickly say that, you know, being a Larry passing, I think it's a lesson for all of us in terms of we as individuals, you know, respecting each, because Larry was respected by all, and he's a respecter of all. And this is what life will show us, because what Larry Parson taught me and could see is that for us, all of us, in the football, especially in Trinidad and Tobago, need to come together more and be more, you know, conscious and acceptable of one's life and what we do in the interest of, again, as I always talk about Trinidad football.
All right.
What it was.
All right, we come to the end, guys. Before we close, I want to make sure that on behalf of Field of Dreams, I want to say, give my condolences to the family, Cheryl and the kids of Larry Joseph. Larry is a brother. We'll miss you. Ride and sleep well. Hopefully, you've made this an example for all of us, and wake us up to what true life is all about. Guys, thank you for being here and to share your views on Larry Joseph, the man, the husband, the player, the everything.
Yeah, everything.
Respect you, but ACTN, thanks for the opportunity. Viewers, thanks for tuning in. And we do come on at 8 o'clock and repeat on Monday night and repeat 1 and Saturday and also Tuesday. This show is ended. Go in peace. My name is PJ.